is up, y'all? Skylar here with Sky Gardens. I grow flowers right here in West Texas. Welcome back to our In His Creation segment here on YouTube. We are so excited to have you here today, and I'm just so excited to be telling you about what I'm telling you about today, because I think it is so cool, and it's so neat. God is so cool, and it's so amazing what He does through His creation. If you're wondering why in the world this got started, what we're doing here, why this is a thing, like, Skylar, what in the world are you even thinking doing this? I was looking around one day and seeing all these life lessons that God is putting right in front of me out here in the garden, and I was like, man, you know, I'd post a picture and I'd share a little story about it, but really I wasn't able to explain it and totally describe it as well as, you know, being able to see it here in person for certain things. And so that is exactly what I was like, we've got to, you know, start something to where I can share it in that way, maybe in video form. And so that's what we're doing here on YouTube, sharing whatever God is teaching me in the garden or in life or whatever that may be at Sky Gardens, because Sky Gardens is kind of like my life. And I just want to share it with you and what He is doing through His creation, or through His people, which is also His creation, right? And so that is exactly what we're doing here today. I know what you're thinking. Is this some kind of science experiment? I don't understand. Why are there these weird looking plant things? Maybe if that's what that is. That's exactly what it is. So right now we are in the planting process for our 2 high tunnels, our ranunculus and anemone crops, which is really exciting. You can see them all around me right here. Some are at smaller phases, some are at way healthier, amazing phases with little weeds in them that are gonna have to be plucked out. And then we've got this tray right here, which is pretty neat. So all of these ranunculus and anemones come in corm form. That is the way that we plant them. So there's these little things that look really weird. You know what, I'll just show you one right here. This is actually a different variety than these over here. So it's a bit bigger of a corm, but it'll show you still what they look like. Yeah, you're gonna get to see the roots and all. This is exciting. Maybe. You know what, here, why not just look at it all? This is that, okay? This is that. Here's a corm. So this guy, it looks like this spider octopusy looking thing. This is actually one of our bigger ones. You can see the growth starting to come out of it. It's a little bit later to wake up than the rest of everything, but it's got these little roots on it. It's starting to grow, which is good. But all these, man, I'm about to have to open my Bible. This is the story of my life, dirtiness. But these guys, we get started in a dark room in potting soil. They're in a dark room, controlled temperature environment, where they range from about 35 degrees into 50 degrees, depending on the weather outside as well. And so pretty cold in there, very dark. And their growth habits are good, but just not our favorite. It's not what we would ever want anywhere else. But you can see lots of good, amazing growth, but they're yellow. Yellow and white as can be, and there's no pigmentation. I can get really scientific with you on exactly like why this is happening, but I think it's really cool just looking at it. I mean, scientifically it's really cool too, like it shows who God is. But even for people who are not scientific minded, they don't get their color, the plants don't at all, until they reach the light, the sun. Does that remind you of anything? Like, pretty neat, right? So nothing happens. They're out there searching for the light until they finally see it. And so I just brought them into the sun. They're gonna start changing color pretty rapidly. You're gonna see some green on it by the end of the day. And then over the next 3 or 4 days, they're gonna be totally green like these, which is really, really neat. But the growth is never gonna go back from being this long, stringy growth. Now, first glance, you think, wow, they're growing really, really well. Why is nothing else growing that well? Like, we don't have anything that long and luscious and beautiful, right? Because this growth is searching out the light. It is looking for something that it can't obtain in any other way, right? Like being in the darkness, there's nothing else that it can do in order to come and start growing like these other plants are. And so these plants, they were planted probably 3 weeks ago now. And you can start seeing on them a lot of growth from the base of the plants, which is really neat. So as soon as it goes in the ground, it had these same stringy growth, not this long. They're a different variety, so just a little bit different. But it still had stringy growth that ended up turning green, yes, but then now the growth is coming from the base of the plant, and it's growing really well and beautifully, and it's green from the moment that it peeks its head through the soil, because it's had the light this whole time, which is so cool to me, because our God is the same way, right? And he's teaching us this lesson through his creation. He teaches us so many lessons through his creation, which I think is so cool. And so whenever we're in the darkness, we're searching and we're looking for something. We're looking for the light. That's what we're doing the whole time. And in fact, if these things were left in the darkness forever and they were watered and everything else was perfect about them, they would still die, because they don't find the thing that actually gives them life, right? That's wild. Isn't that cool? So neat. So then you have these plants over here that they get to the light. They're walking in the light. They're growing in the light. They're not walking because they're plants. They just sit there, right? But they're growing in the light, and their growth is beautiful and amazing, and it is going to produce beautiful fruit, or flowers in our case, ranunculus and anemones. They're going to be amazingly beautiful because they're right here growing in the light, which is so cool. So I've got one verse to read to you today. It is Ephesians 5, and I lost my place, so we're gonna find it. I flipped right to it. That's God right there, right? The heading of this that man put on it is walk in the light. And it says, this is Ephesians 5 verse 8. It says, for you were once in darkness, right here, right? But now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of the light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, finding out what is acceptable to the Lord. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of the darkness, but rather expose them. Because this is unfruitful. They're not going to produce fruit. I cannot imagine. I probably should do a science experiment, leaving one of them in the dark forever, and see if we ever find any kind of fruit to come from it. If there's ever a flower bud. And if there is, what does that produce? Does it produce a pretty flower, or does it produce something that is just empty? Because I kind of think that might be what would happen. But these, as they grow in the light, and they're nourished by him, and they're nourished by, for us, it's him, right? But they're nourished by the light. They're going to produce such amazing fruit. And if darkness would fall upon them right now, I don't even want to think about what that would look like and what it would do to these plants. Oh, no, yeah, I don't even want to think about that. That would be so horribly sad. For it is shameful to even speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light. For whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore, he says, awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you life. That's what we need. That's what we need in our lives. We need light. Isn't that so cool that God put it right here in his plants? Like, he was like, here, I want you to tend to this garden, right? Me to tend, you to tend. This is what you're doing. You're tending over creation. Even if you have a small flower bed, or if you have a yard, or whatever, or you're working with his creation in other ways. Or if you're not working with his creation and you just get to see it, he's like, here, I'm going to put this right in front of you. Whenever we're growing in the darkness, we're not going to grow. But whenever we're growing in the light, that's whenever I'm going to bring such amazing fruit and beauty to your life. That is so neat. I'm sorry I'm such a nerd about this, but really, I guess I'm not that sorry, because it is so cool. Because I posted a few pictures of the other day on my story, just a picture of right after I'd planted one of these things. It's yellow and a little bit of green veining in it because I took the picture at the end of the day. And then the next day it was a little bit greener, and the next day it's a little bit greener, and then today it's actually right over there. You still have the stem that's really white, but the green growth, the leaves are just so green and beautiful. And then over the next couple of weeks, it's going to start producing that growth from the base of the plant. And all of a sudden, we're going to have lush green growth growing there. And it's not going to be long. It's not going to be like it's searching for anything, because it has exactly what it needs the whole time. So that's the lesson that I learned here in the garden today. And I guess over the past couple of weeks. And as I continue planting these plants, it's a lesson I'm going to keep on getting to look over and see. And I'm so excited, and I'm glad that I got to share it with you. And I hope that this is encouraging to you, and it shows you that we serve such an amazing God who's teaching us right in front of our eyes if we can just open them up and see it. So look in the light. So thank y'all so much for tuning in today. If this was encouraging to you, share it with a friend, or like, or subscribe, or whatever. What that does is it just apparently helps people know that this is like good stuff. And so, I don't know. It's all for His glory. So wherever it may go, whatever He wants to do with what we're doing here, we're just gonna let Him do. So thank y'all. I'm gonna get back to planting, because as you can tell, I've gotten a lot done. But there's a bit more to be done too. So I'm gonna keep on exposing these little guys to the light, because they need it. All right, we'll see y'all next time.